Ms. Cunha?
Aye.
Mr. Pagano?
Aye.
Mr. Vaught?
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski?
Aye.
And Mr. Reimer.
Aye. We are now in open session. Mr. Vaught, could you read the certification of the closed session?
Delighted to. Whereas the New Kent County School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the New Kent County School Board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the New Kent County School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirement by Virginia law were discussed in closed meeting, to which this certification resolution applies, and to only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the New Kent County School Board.
Thank you, Mr. Vaught. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Second the motion to approve the certification.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the certification of the closed session. Ms. Davis, could you please poll us?
Ms. Cunha?
Aye.
Mr. Pagano?
Aye.
Mr. Vaught?
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski?
Aye.
And Mr. Reimer.
Aye. The consent agenda has been certified, a unanimous vote. Dr. Nichols.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a candidate for us to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
We absolutely do. We have no shortage of candidates tonight from New Kent Elementary School, but I believe Brinley is leading off for us.
Shall we all stand?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Well,
Heather May was to sing the national anthem.
Well, tonight we have a lot of recognitions and a lot of sparkling young faces out there. So, Dr. O'Day, I believe you're first up. So you're going to be spotlighting New Kent Elementary School, right?
I am. Good evening, Chairman, members of the board, and Dr. Nichols. I'm Teresa O'Day, the principal of New Kent Elementary School, and I am so excited to have with us tonight Mrs. Amy Carr. Science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics.
Yes, but what is STEAM?
STEAM is a way of learning that focuses on the skills needed to learn science, technology, the arts, and mathematics, and how the engineering design process is used to achieve an outcome.
What is science?
Science is the study of the world around us and how things work through experiments and observation.
What is technology?
Technology is the use of knowledge to invent new devices or tools.
What is engineering?
Engineering is the process of creating new things or improving products by using math and science.
What is the arts? The arts refers to various branches of creativity activity, such as drawing, music, literature, theater, and dance. What is mathematics?
Mathematics is the study of numbers and how they are related to each other in the real world. Why is the A important?
The A in STEAM trains children to include design, thinking, and imagining and visualizing early on. It encourages the development of communication and collaboration skills for students to improve and expand ideas. It allows them to share about progress and discoveries with fluency and ease.
Why is STEAM important? The skills you will develop through STEAM. The skills you will develop through STEAM can provide you with the foundation to succeed in school and beyond.
Especially with the rapidly changing technology that alters the way you learn, connect, and interact every day.
Right now, many companies are looking for workers with STEAM qualifications and skills. Future jobs will only require more STEAM skills.
STEAM develops skills like
problem solving.
This is the ability to work through details of a problem to reach a solution.
STEAM develops skills like
Critical thinking.
This is the ability to be open-minded and consider other ways of looking at solutions.
Teamwork.
This is the ability to work together and get along with other members of a team to reach a goal.
Creativity.
This is the ability to make new things.
Communication.
This is the ability to use words, sounds, signs, or behaviors to express ideas, thoughts, and feelings.
Perseverance.
This is the ability to continue doing something despite difficulties, failure, or conflict.
We invite you to look at some of our projects. This year, we've already learned about apples, towers, leaves, chlorophyll, spiders, pumpkins, bats, veterans.
Thank you very much. That was very enlightening, and also we see that the limits of technology as well. It would be a STEAM presentation where the technology fails us.
It may be, may I offer a suggestion? So, pause, guys. It may be easier. Thanks, guys. We're going to do a few more recognitions. Not as cool because I don't have Legos and things. But if you guys want to stay there for another few minutes and do what you're doing, we will take a break formally, and that'll allow you to do all that at one time. And I think we can combine that together. So if you can hang tight and steam on for a few more minutes, I will steam through these, and then you can steam on. I did steam on twice. Okay.
So Dr. Nichols is going to be making the majority of the next set of recognitions. But before that, the board would like to make a recognition first. Dr. Nichols, how old are you today?
What?
Happy birthday, Dr. Nichols.
Oh, it is not my birthday today.
Well, it should be in the near future.
Oh, I will have a birthday between this meeting and the next meeting, and I hopefully will have a birthday. So yeah, half century. So yeah, thank you very much. That's old, guys. That's old. Thank you, guys.
And with that, Dr. Nichols, why don't you recognize Family Engagement in Schools Month?
Yes, sir. And Mr. Chair, if it's okay, I can go through these together as a batch.
That would be great.
Yep. Okay. So November is an incredibly busy month outside of my birth and Thanksgiving and all the other things. It is also Family Engagement Month, where we recognize and celebrate the important role of families, and how awesome is it that this courtroom is packed with families tonight as we recognize Family Engagement Month. We believe in family engagement every month, but this is the formal recognition. So November is also Native American Heritage Month. It's an opportunity to celebrate the thousands of American Indians in Virginia. New Kent specifically has a heavy Native American influence, and you see it on display in our schools. And if you were at, I believe, George Watkins recently, there was an incredibly cool assembly that involved one of our students and his mom putting on a performance. So National Native American Month is also in November. It is also Veterans Day coming up. One of the questions I get almost annually is, why are you not closed on Veterans Day? And the answer to that is we celebrate our veterans on Veterans Day, so across many of our schools. And if you've never been to New Kent Middle School's Veterans Day Assembly, I will tell you it is one of my most favorite things we do each year, and that'll be November 11th, where we'll honor our veterans. So our schools recognizing veterans across New Kent. American Education Month, a week, also occurs in November. It is the 18th through to the 22nd, where we celebrate American Education Week and invite families to see, and the community to see, what we have going on in our schools. It is also School Psychologist Month. We have an incredible school psychologist. I don't know how she does what she does, and that is Robin McLean. So we want to formally thank Ms. McLean for the work she does as our school psychologist.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols.
And with that, that concludes my recognitions. Like I said, I didn't have any props, but lots to celebrate in November.
So with that, we'll have a recess of about Heather, can you please tell me what I'm supposed to do?
Yes, we wanted to take the time to officially recognize our Dr. Nichols for earning his 2-year superintendent certification.
Oh, wow.
You get a little gift. And you have to open it now.
Not my birthday, but I got a gift. That's all. So for those tuning in and in the audience, I just completed a 2-year national certification program for superintendents. Got to work with superintendents across the country, and just really appreciate the board supporting my development. It was an incredible experience, and I have friends that I would be my friends for life. And I got smarter along the way. So students, it doesn't end when you leave elementary school. So even a 50-year-old can get smarter.
So now we will be able to take our recess, and we'll be back in about 15 minutes. Thank you.
Very good. Huh?
That's on.
So the presentations went well, and the associated people have left a little bit more quickly than I had anticipated, so we'll get started right away here. So the next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Do I hear, by now you have had the opportunity to review the items listed in the consent agenda, including minutes from the previous meetings, bills and payroll, financials, and the superintendent's recommendations regarding personnel matters. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second's been made. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Ms. Cunha?
Aye.
Mr. Pagano?
Aye.
Mr. Vaught?
Aye.
And Ms. Dombrowski?
Aye.
And Mr. Reimer?
Aye. The consent agenda has been approved by unanimous vote. Next, we'll move on to The new business, Dr. Nichols, Special Education Advisory Committee.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Annually, board members, the SEAC, Special Education Advisory Committee membership comes before you. So we have that for you this evening. You will notice that there are still some roles that are vacant, including the chair and the vice chair. We're still looking for parents of students to participate in those roles. So we are still actively recruiting those, but you can see the membership, who's involved. We have a number of parents that are voting members, but being a voting member and then also being a chair or vice chair, that's a whole different obligation. So we're still actively pursuing it, but this is where we are right now with our Special Education Advisory Committee. This does come before you for action later in the agenda. So happy to answer any questions best I can.
Any questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Dr. Nichols, has this committee ever had a school board representative as a non-voting member in the past, or?
I will have to look at that for certain. I know we've had board members in attendance or have attended in the past. Whether you assign a board member or not, I don't believe that's the case, but it is certainly permissible to do so. And if you're going to attend, we just have to coordinate attendance so we don't end up with an accidental quorum.
Right.
And if you want to designate, we're perfectly open to doing that. Happy to support that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on. Mr. Miller. Course requests, first read.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Dr. Nichols. Each year, usually in the fall, but during the year, as we have new courses come up that we'd like to add to the high school course catalog, we do bring them to y'all for approval before we do so. So these are 5 courses that we'd like to add to the course catalog for next year. And I'm just going to run through them. English 10 AP Seminar. You're going to see a theme here. We have a couple AP courses that we're adding in here. Typically, AP courses we start them at 11th grade, but when we took a look at basically our offerings, AP Seminar is a great basically opener to the AP catalog. It gets students ready for those AP courses and counts for college credit. And so we wanted to offer it English 10 as sort of an entry point into our dual enrollment and AP courses, and to really set them up for success for the following 2 years and go ahead and give them those credits. Then we have 2 arts on here, one at the beginning and one at the end. AP Studio Arts, 2-dimensional, so this is not like ceramics and 3D, but more flat surface art, and so I wanted to add that in there. And then art history for those students who are interested in basically earning college credits in the art field as well. We currently have DE ceramics, or is really our only art college credit course. So we wanted to add those in there to sort of round that out. We've had an increase in our interest in marketing, and so this is a course that we wanted to add in there to capitalize on that interest and make a completer. So when you have a CTE sequence, which is basically 2 CTE courses, career technical education courses in a row, it makes a sequence and gives a student a completer sequence. And so this is one more way to complete that sequence that we'd like to add in. Nutrition and wellness we're adding in because we currently have an intro to culinary course and there is no completer course for it. So if a student wants to basically earn that completer status, which helps us and helps them, for them to do that, they would have to go to Bridging Communities to do so. We would like for our students who don't go to Bridging to have the opportunity to also be a completer in culinary as well, and nutrition and wellness would give us that opportunity. So those are the 5 courses, and this is first read tonight. In your packet, you have a little bit more information with course descriptions for each of them and how much credits they count and all that. So I encourage you to look that over. I'm happy to take any questions tonight, or if you want to wait till next time and ask questions at the next meeting, we can do that.
Ross, will you just remind the board why we do this so early?
Yeah, so because we're the high school is on a 4x4, we schedule early in the year, and we start in sort of November, December with course catalogs going out to our middle schoolers and high schoolers, and we start doing scheduling nights so that they can go ahead and start putting in their selection. So that's why we're doing it now. So we'll be ready for those course catalogs going out for those scheduling sessions coming up.
Any questions?
I do have a question, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Can you explain the difference between the AP courses and dual enrollment?
Absolutely. So an AP course, basically the AP pathway is set up by the College Board. And so students take a prescriptive basically course throughout the year, and then there's an AP exam at the end of the year that they take that is produced by the College Board and is scored. And if they earn basically a 3 or better, they have a good shot of getting the college credits from their college of choice. Each college sort of has a score between a 3 and a 5 that they expect a student to get to be able to earn college credits. And that is accepted pretty universally across the country. Dual enrollment, how it works is we have a partnership with Rappahannock Community College. And so while students are taking the course, they're also earning credits directly from Rappahannock, and it's not based on a test. However, dual enrollment is not as universally accepted, especially outside of the state. So some of those courses are accepted out of the state, but not all of them. And we have found out recently we had a student who's at UVA this year who did not get credit for one of their dual enrollment courses that they took through us. They get credit for a ton of others, but one did not. So the AP is more universally accepted outside of the state. Dual enrollment is still pretty universal within the state. It's a rare thing for them not to accept a course.
There's one other critical difference, too, is that a teacher in a dual enrollment course requires a master's in order to teach it.
Yeah, they're required to have a master's in the content area. And so it's not just a master's. Most of our teachers have a master's in education, but the dual enrollment teachers are required to basically have that in their content area they're teaching, whereas AP teachers are required to have a teaching license, and then they go to an academy over the summer that provides them professional development on how to teach on a college level within that course. And it's an academy specific for the course they're going to be teaching.
Are there any other AP courses in 10th grade?
Not currently. In the past, we have had AP Human Geography in 10th grade. And so we potentially have had discussions on bringing it back, but not currently.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, let's move on.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, board members, Dr. Nichols, I am presenting tonight our year-end transfer for fiscal year 2024. The year-end balance of the general fund is $347,283.11. This is about 0.8% of our general operating budget. A little low. I'd like to see this number be a little bit higher, but we did have a lot of great things that we did in support of our staff and students last year. Additionally, we had some deferred revenue. We have not had that in the past, but we did have an All-in Virginia grant that we received last year that Mr. Miller will continue to spend down. We have 3 years to spend that down. That's about $555,000. And also a security grant that we actually received on June 30th. Thank you, from the state. So that's $77,054 that we'll be able to spend in the new fiscal year. Any questions on those funds will be placed in our appropriation of prior year balance, which is in our CIP account. So we'll be able to use those funds for any emergency projects or things that happen. We would bring those requests to the school board.
Any questions? Okay, Ms. Morheim, why don't you now talk about budget calendar?
Sure. Anymore, there's really no calendar for budget. It's pretty much all year round. You all know that. You see the work that we do. We're constantly brainstorming. I already have a very long list of things that we are going to want to include in our FY26 budget. But this is just a general overview for you. A lot of these dates could potentially change, but we'll certainly keep you updated. Something I'd like to point out, Dr. Nichols and I will be doing our budget forums. We go actually to each school building. We'll sit for an entire day in hopes that anyone that works in those buildings will come through to speak with us on really anything. One thing that I'd like to offer up this year is that we have a budget forum for our community. So Dr. Nichols and I would like to set up on December 12th in the school board office and allow anyone that would be interested to come through and do the same thing that we like for our staff to do. Outside of that, there's nothing really new. I won't read you the calendar, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions?
No.
So let's move on to our healthcare premium holiday.
Yes, this is a wonderful time to celebrate. As you're aware, our healthcare fund is a self-fund. We do fund all of our healthcare claims through the premiums that our employees pay. We try to teach them to be good stewards of their choices that they're making with their healthcare so that they find the best support and care for their needs. And we like to reward them with a premium holiday when we're able to. And this year we are in December. So the way that works is if you are on our healthcare plan, you will not pay your healthcare premium, the employee share, for the month of December. That's actually coverage for January. So it's nice that employees have that time in December that they don't have to have their healthcare premium come out of their paycheck. So we're happy to recommend that and fund that for our employees.
Any questions about the premium holiday? Thank you, Ms. Moore.
Thank you.
It's now old business. The fiscal 26 capital improvement plan, Mr. Hockman.
All right, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, Dr. Nichols, I'm going to talk to you this evening about the capital improvement plan. I'm going to start off with a very quick review of some of the work that we've done with our turf and track project. Obviously, this is not the focus of what we'll talk about this evening, but I did want to have the opportunity to give you a little bit of an update of some of the work we have been doing. We've met with multiple vendors recently, a great deal of going back and forth trying to finalize this project and come up with a very firm number. And that number is up there at $2.7 million. That does include a mid-level track. I want to just let you know that mid-level doesn't mean not of quality. It just means it's not something that the Olympics would run on. It's very typical for high schools and colleges to use that level of track. It's a quality track and comes with a very good warranty. That track price also includes end zone letters, an NK logo, all of the field maintenance equipment that we would require. That equipment is very necessary to ensure that the warranty on the track maintains. Without that equipment, we would lose some of that warranty. So that is necessary. And it also includes all of the lines that we would want to add for the different sports that we offer to potentially include lacrosse. We talked about the mid-level track being a good quality track. We've also included in this the necessity for some fencing. The low fence which goes around the track currently would have to be removed and replaced. That way it would look better, and it also would keep people from running on the track when we're having events. So it is something that we have to have. We will be going to the Board of Supervisors on November 13th with a presentation. We have more details to provide then with some of the things you as a board have requested, some safety numbers and some things like that. So we're very excited about that. Moving on to an update on some future facility needs. Very excited to tell you that we are coming to the end of our architectural and engineering bid. We actually have interviews with our 3 finalists, which will be tomorrow. This is a big deal for us. This will give us the opportunity to come to you with future projects with a very solid price of what each of those projects will cost. That is something we're excited about. They will also help guide us as to which projects are feasible and where we can do certain things. That is something that we need, and we'll move forward with that. There will be a joint board meeting and facility tour on the 18th of this month that will primarily focus on New Kent Elementary School and the middle school, looking at those 2 places. And as we consider next steps, they'll have an opportunity to see why we may need to take some of those next steps. We will then also have to do a comprehensive facility assessment. This will be handled by a third-party vendor and allow us to really create a comprehensive asset inventory of a replacement plan for all of the things that we have on our campus. Everything that we have has an expected life term, and we need to know what that term is, and we need to know when we need to replace it. We will get that information, and this group will also help us to prioritize projects as we move forward with our CIP plan. Some things may be able to last longer than anticipated. Other things may need to be replaced so that we have a very good environment for our teachers and our staff. For future planning considerations, obviously, we're looking at New Kent Elementary School hopefully as a complete replacement. We're also looking at New Kent Middle School, a new one or a potential expansion. George Watkins Elementary School, potentially adding classrooms to replace the trailers out back. And also, as you know, additional athletic upgrades, which would be our next step in this process with the track. With the turf and track. And now we'll kind of get to the meat of the CIP. As I told you previously when we talked about this, there's some things that we've gotten some final numbers on. We've been able to really get down to what we think it's going to cost. This is what we plan to present to the Board of Supervisors. The school buses will be $672,000. School vehicles will be $99,000. Tennis court maintenance, a little over $20,000. District-wide lighting, $425,000. The HVAC at New Kent Middle School, $1.4 million. New Kent High School rooftop, replacing 2 of our 28-ton units at a cost of about $750,000. New Kent High School water source heat pump replacement at $117,000. HVAC for the weight room at $30,000. New Kent High School roof replacement at $450,000. An additional office at transportation, which will max out our space at transportation in terms of hiring new people and having a place for them to work at about $30,000. And also replacement gas pumps. We have replaced the island last year, and now the gas pumps are beyond their life expectancy, and we need to replace those at about $166,000. That total there for that group puts you at $4.158 million. On the next slide, these are things which we will be requesting in the capital improvement plan, but down the road, we would like to move these to our general operating budget, because that's really more of what these things are. Paving and striping across the district, $35,000. That's a moving number depending on what is needed in terms of paving. Paving is the more expensive part of that. Roof maintenance, $35,000. School improvement, which really covers a lot of our painting at $35,000, and then overall HVAC maintenance across all buildings at $150,000, puts that total for that group at $255,000. And finally, we put those two slides together. We have the 4.158 and the 255 for a request of $4.413 million.
And board members, we had great discussion at our last work session about a lot of these projects. These are more the present projects we need to do to be operational, but the architecture and engineering bid is going to be huge for us to get the better numbers and layout for some of these bigger projects. We're excited to bring those back to you. This is a flexible process, so while we are looking for approval this evening, this still has to go through many more layers with the county and back and before we get to a final total. So this is just the next step in the process for us. The turf track is separate. New Kent Elementary will be somewhat separate. And this is really just the general CIP portion.
Any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I may. With the, let me start with the gas pumps. Now, is that just the actual pump that we see or you see that is there, or is that also the tanks underneath the ground?
That's a great question. Some of the tanks have been replaced. The islands have been redone recently, the concrete. This is what you see above ground. We have 4 of those currently at our transportation, and we're starting to have some issues with keeping them going. We're able to do that, but off-hour calls to service them and things like that can be problematic, particularly when we recognize that our emergency services folks are using those too. So we would not want them to have to wait for gas in a vehicle so that they can get where they need to be.
Okay. Thank you for that. And the other thing is, as far as the middle school goes, taking what we have and expanding the classrooms is I look at that like putting a gasoline fire out with tennis shoes, in a sense. But how long, or what do you anticipate with the numbers that we have? Would that be adequate? In other words, is it worth the money to invest in adding 2 rooms for 2 years, and then you need the whole school?
And Mr. Vaught, I think that's a great question. It's something that we need to have future discussion with. And one of the things that we'd like to present at that joint meeting is kind of the enrollment trend and the cost benefit, relative cost benefit to adding now versus constructing now. Because we know every year that we delay a project, construction, it's 5 to 8% inflation on average. So you're kind of making that decision. Is it, we go back through all the different variations. Is it 2 middle schools and they're smaller? Is it 1 larger middle school? Is it the expansion of the existing one? I think that's kind of what we need to come to a direction with, which the A&E and then the enrollment piece will kind of help us, I think, guide that and let us know. So,
If I may, Mr. Chair, a follow-up or just a recommendation, if we're going to be presenting this to the Board of Supervisors, is that something that we can get the numbers to verify or justify or make a decision on that so that it's we don't have to come back and revisit that on our end? It would be clarified for them.
Absolutely. We can put that together for you ahead of time and shoot for a week ahead of that. That meeting right now is scheduled on the 18th.
Yeah.
So we can work through this week to get you some preliminaries and lay it out so that you have that ahead of that.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt.
Yes,
Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask a question.
Yes.
When do you think the comprehensive facility assessment will take place? When will we have that?
Yeah, I think that's something we want to do here in the near future. I would imagine I don't want to overguess, I'm ambitious. I'd like to think within a couple months we would have that process started. That process does take a little bit of time. They're going to go through every building and give us what we need. I would hope by spring we'd have a final of all of that.
Yeah, what they'll put together, Ms. Cunha, is an incredibly detailed report that we would share with board members and then do a public-facing presentation about the priority of needs and then how that flows through capital. But that would be a 24-25 project. So within this, not in 24, but in the school year to have that done. It also is a subset of the A&E project. So once we have the A&E bid closed, they can provide that service for us as well. So Mr. Hockman's time is right on, I would think, by spring. But it does take a long, they check everything and provide that for us. So Mr. Hockman's really done a nice job of pushing to get long-range planning, up to 20, 25 years of replacements. Because we look at the high school as it's not that old, and it was 2008. But a lot of these systems have a 15-year lifespan. Guess where we're at? We're at 15 years. So we're starting to see some of that, but we still think in our head it's a new. We need that laid out. Right now we think Quentin is new. But, we're going to blink. We're already in year 3. They're going to be in year 15, and we're going to be looking at some HVAC things. So we've got to have that all laid out for you guys. And it will shape and shift CIP moving forward.
Any other questions? Yes. I have a question. So the mid-level track, does that have the same life expectancy we discussed originally, which I think was about 15 years or so?
Well, I think what the mid-level track would give us is a 10-year warranty, but what they have told us is if we buy the equipment that goes with this and utilize the technology that comes with it, we'll get to 12 years because very few people get less than 12 when they do what they're supposed to. The technology is significant because it guides what you're actually doing on the field. It'll tell you exactly what to do. It comes with an additional cost, but it does extend the life of the track significantly. And I think previously there was a question about a cost to replace if we redid a turf field and those types of things and redid the track. The turf field, we will have done all the site work. So that's very much a big expense when you're doing construction. That will already have been done. So that cost to replace 12, 15 years down the road, that will be negated by the fact that we've already done all that on this project.
Right.
And then I just have an observation on a data point that's not necessarily for you, Mr. Hockman, but maybe the group as a whole in terms of presenting to the Board of Supervisors. Do we now have, or can we obtain the data points on the neighborhoods and subdivisions that are coming online that are going to have a direct impact on the school system?
Yes, sir. We can, with what has been green lighted so far, without looking at any future development, we can somewhat accurately, with number of houses, tell you about how many kids that brings to us. So it's a little harder to say there'll be middle school, but if we divide it, 13 ways, K-12, we can give you a rough estimate of what we're looking at.
Yes, yeah. Thank you.
So we'll make sure to include that in what we have. So we'll also have Mosley Architects will be with us at that joint piece to talk more specifically about New Kent Elementary and some of the different components related to that. But we can do the enrollment piece too.
There are a couple of additional questions. The $255,000, is that enough?
That would match some of the current that we're using there. There are some years that we may not use all of that. There are other years when we go above that, just depending, because this is really just maintenance work. Some years that maintenance could be more. This is a rough guess from our Director of Operations about what he thinks he will need.
Okay. The other question I have is, have we prioritized the items in that $4 million ask?
No. So what we will do for the Board of Supervisors, we will be asked to prioritize that. When we go to them, we'll put that in a ranking list, 1 through whatever we have, and turn that in. And that is really based upon what we see as immediacy. Not a want or we hope to have, but this is what we think we really need to be successful or to keep our facilities running.
Can we see that prioritization before you give it to the supervisors?
Well, so great question, Mr. Reimer. That's kind of what I was alluding to, is this is a starting point for it. So once we have a number from the county, we have to come back and do that prioritization. So absolutely, we can.
Thank you. Any other questions? Let's move on then. Ms. Dombrowski, Student School Board Representative update.
Mr. Chair, you all remember we went through just very generally the draft policy of having a student school board representative. And at the school board work session we held a couple of weeks ago, the input I received, I went back and added some of that into it and provided you all with a copy of that. There's been a couple of edit requests from Mr. Pagano, and just wanted to provide you with the opportunity at this time to let me know if there are any specific additional edits you would like to see made.
Any additional edit requests?
Not here. I would like to thank you and Mr. Pagano for the editing that was done. Thank you both. I think, as far as I'm concerned, after reading through it, that's everything that I would have.
So what I will do is take the edits that Mr. Pagano provided and change as necessary, as requested, and resend that out. I also discussed with Mr. Pagano via email whether or not we should bring forth the actual application that we intend to use. And again, he provided me with some good insights on the examples that we were provided by the SBA. So I'm happy to also put that together and then send it out so that at the next meeting, we can take that as a package and decide whether or not that's what we want to move forward on.
We should do a first reading. Yeah.
Do the first read then?
Yeah.
Okay, any questions?
I don't have a question, but for the record, I just want to defer to Ms. Dombrowski, who is the primary and has taken the lead on this. All I simply did was provide some edits and try to narrow, because there were multiple examples and all were good, and just narrowing it for our use here in New Kent. So great job. Thank you.
You can't back out that easy.
No,
Well, it's very
we
appreciated.
appreciate the work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a clarifying question just for us on the?
Yes, you may.
First read, official first read, because this is listed as first read. So we'll do a first read of a complete packet in December, targeting a second read and potential vote in January.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
And we can, as long as we don't get into March, we can execute this and get you a good representative for next school year. So that tracks for us on a implementation timeline. So thank you, sir.
Is everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, there is one to ask Mr. Pagano on about the policy specified how the criteria, they would need to be enrolled as a junior at the start of the school year, and you had made the suggestion or higher. The reason I believe we were sticking with having them as a junior is because they wouldn't have senioritis, and they would it would give them the chance to do a full service year and then use that for college applications.
Yes.
Whereas when they start their senior year, if they're doing it during that year, then it would make it more difficult for them to use that experience on their application.
And I think that's right, and I agree with my fellow board members. The only thought process in my head was if we didn't have a candidate who fit into that box. Now it's limited. It just opens the door for us to say, hire senior, for example, but I'll defer to the rest of the group.
That's a good point.
We'll leave it to your discretion. Ms. Dombrowski, you are next on the agenda as well. Strategic plan update.
So it was a very, very awesome meeting that we got to have. The library was packed with a lot of smiling faces, and it was very well organized. Thank you to Mr. Miller and Dr. Nichols. We were organized into groups and provided with a list of the various examples of what a strategic plan mission looks like. And then we were asked to review those, highlight any values that we felt we wanted to include in our mission statement. And as a group, we worked together to highlight those, and then we put together a big poster of the different ideas. There was a really great discussion at our table. I could hear other people having likewise discussions, and then at the end, everyone came together to recognize there was a lot of overlap, which was great. All thinking along the same lines. All the suggested values that we see in our community that we want to focus on in our schools were then placed on one of the tables, and everyone went through and were given color dots, and we got to put by the dots or by the values which ones we preferred. I think we had about 5. Yeah. So I thought it was a great process, a lot of good conversations, as I said, and Helena and I will be meeting with Dr. Nichols and Ross tomorrow to streamline that vision mission statement into something that will provide us with more clarity and direction as to how the strategic plan will move forward. Any questions?
Thank you. Are you going to, do you have a timetable for when you might present it to the board?
The strategic plan?
The value statement.
The value statement, I would say that we should be able to, if we get it all done tomorrow, and if not, I think we have plenty of time this month to make it for the December meeting for sure.
Okay, great. We'll put you on the agenda. Any questions?
I have just a general question. So does it make sense at this point to either, in conjunction with admin or admin in their role and then giving it to us in our role as governance to start the draft of a strategic plan so we can get an outline and then do what we're doing, for example, with the student representative, right? We can then edit it and get it moving or expedited at least for first read and second read and so on. So I guess where are we at in terms of I don't want to say timeline, but in terms of getting a draft for us to use with that first set of data points that we're trying to track?
Right, of the actual strategic plan?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. We have not yet addressed that. So as of right now, I would really appreciate some insights onto that question from Dr. Nichols.
And actually, I think along with what Keith talked about, a timeline for the pieces would be useful as well, if nothing else as goals.
Yeah, I'd be happy to share some thoughts. I think we're at a point where it can be, so we're meeting tomorrow. I think it's at a point that we can take it internally and draft and allow reaction to goals, reaction to strategies, reaction to, we did the data work in the first one, we did the mission values work. I think we can put together drafts and then have board reaction, but also committee reaction. I think our next committee meeting is November 14th. I believe it is. Thank you. So, we can work to draft along that timeline. What are the 3 to 4 main goals? What are the strategies, 6 to 7 strategies? And then how you measure. There's still a significant amount of work that has to be done to kind of lay that along a map. I can tell you in my head what I think those goals are based on interactions with board, interactions with community, interactions with families and our students. And kind of flesh it out fairly rapidly. Happy to do that. We have a team that can do that and bring it back. So I'll take direction from the board, but we're happy to run.
So, Heather, sounds good, right?
Yes.
Moving on, it's the citizen comment period, but I don't believe we have any citizens signed up. No, none. So we'll move on to our action items. The first action item is to consider the approval of the Special Education Advisory Committee. Do I hear a motion to approve the Special Education Advisory Committee as was presented?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
Motion and second has been made. Ms. Davis, will you please poll the board?
Ms. Cunha?
Aye.
Mr. Pagano?
Aye.
Mr. Vaught?
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski?
Aye.
Mr. Reimer?
Aye. The special education, the board has by unanimous vote approved the Special Education Advisory Committee as presented. Now we will consider the approval of the year-end transfers for fiscal year 24. Do I hear a motion to approve the year-end transfer for fiscal year 24 as presented?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Second. Motion second's been made. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Ms. Cunha?
Aye.
Mr. Pagano?
Aye.
Mr. Vaught?
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski?
Aye.
Mr. Reimer?
Aye. By unanimous vote, the board has approved the year-end transfer for fiscal year 24. Next will be the approval of the health care plan premium holiday. Do I hear a motion to approve the year-end health care premium plan holiday?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second's been made. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Ms. Cunha?
Aye.
Mr. Pagano?
Aye.
Mr. Vaught?
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski?
Aye.
And Mr. Reimer?
Aye. The motion is passed unanimously, and the year-end health care plan premium holiday has been approved. Last is the consideration of the approval for the fiscal year 26 capital improvement plan. Do I hear a motion to approve the fiscal year 26 capital improvement plan?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second's been made. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Ms. Cunha?
Aye.
Mr. Pagano?
Aye.
Mr. Vaught?
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski?
Aye.
And Mr. Reimer?
Aye. The board has approved by unanimous vote the capital improvement plans for fiscal year 26. Those are all the action items. At this point, I would like to give an opportunity for the board and superintendent to speak. Dr. Nichols, since I most ungraciously forgot you last time. Could you please go first?
Oh, you want me to go first so you don't forget me 2 times? Okay. Happy to. Thank you, sir. Keep my comments brief. I get to work with the most amazing team, students, families. I just am reminded that constantly we got to see some of that in action tonight. Tonight was a perfect example of budget coming to life. Last year we had conversations about expanding opportunities for elementary kids. And we put STEAM as a resource out there, and then you get to see a few months later it in action. And I tell you, I've been in the classroom to see it in action, and the kids are learning curricular things and connections, but I tell you what they're learning about each other and how to work together is absolutely incredible. So it's always hard to go first, and I just want to thank people for letting us go first with that. So thank you, board, for the gift with the national certification. I pride myself as a first-generation college graduate to always keep learning and always keep striving, and I believe strongly you can only lead people as far as you've been. So I'm not sure what's after national, if there's international. I'm not I'm not leaving the country anytime soon, but I'm just honored to work in a place that allows you to get smarter, because smart is something you become, and we just try to embody that. So thank you, board, for your continued support, and looking forward to the big food show tomorrow. So the shout out to Leslie Smith, who leads 14 different school divisions in purchasing of nutrition for students, and she puts on an incredible food show for those divisions. So we'll have 14 to 15 divisions here sampling the most innovative lunch products that I did not have when I was a kid in school. You got corn and you got a slice of pizza on Friday. But that's because I'm old now. So those are my comments, and I understand why you skipped me last time after those. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Dombrowski.
I had so much fun at the Bowl-a-thon on Saturday. I think I had the lowest score both games, but it was great to be able to raise some money for New Kent Education Foundation, and I went home with some Bath and Body Works stuff, so you're never a loser when you go home with that. I wasn't able to make it into the schools as much as I usually like to in October, but what I did see was awesome, and with it being the month of gratitude, I just want to extend my deepest thanks to all the teachers and administrators and the students and the parents and the citizens for everything that they're doing to make New Kent schools so great. And just a reminder, in case you forgot, tomorrow's election day. And if you haven't already taken the time to vote these last 45 days, then please do so tomorrow. The polls are open from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. And if you need a little extra motivation, I've come prepared with a few of my favorite vote quotes. Martin Luther King said, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." Sharon Salzberg said, "Voting is the expression of our commitment to ourselves, one another, this country, and the world." Thomas Hauser said, "Not voting is disrespecting the best of what this nation stands for," especially with Veterans Day around the corner. That's a good thing to think of. Larry Sabato said, "Every election is determined by the people who show up." And Long Ung, who I learned is survived the Cambodia genocide, I guess you could call it. She said, "Voting is not only our right, it is our power. When we vote, we take back our power to choose, to speak up, and to stand with those who support us and each other." And then last but not least, keep the faith, stand for freedom, and fight for America. Heather Mae Dombrowski. That's all.
You through?
Yes.
Mr. Vaught.
I would like to invite everyone to the Brickshire Clubhouse on the 12th, which is a Tuesday evening, for the first District 4 Town Hall meeting. along with myself, Dr. Nichols, and the Board of Supervisors Representative Ron Steers. So that'll be at 7 o'clock. So I'd like to invite everyone to that. Dr. Nichols, we are so grateful that you not only do what you do in the system, but that your heart is to continue to improve. And congratulations on your certification. I know that you didn't make a big to-do about it, but we should, because that was a choice you made. You weren't required or forced or pushed into that. And I can tell you, and I think I speak for the rest of the board, how appreciative we are for you and everything that you do, along with the rest of the team, you guys out there that do so much and work tirelessly to educate and improve New Kent County. Thank you so much. Also, I want to see if we may also have a, if you have numbers coming forth from, as you did when we started the school year with the policy on cell phone and dress code, the numbers as they have been adhered to and or infractions somewhere down the road. I'd be interested in seeing that again. But thank you.
Mr. Pagano.
Yeah, I'm going to be short and sweet. As always, thank you, everybody, for coming out, your participation and support. Heather stole my public service announcement, so please make sure you go vote tomorrow. Good job, Heather. And then two things that stuck out to me was Saturday, I attended the Bowl-a-thon just sort of as an observer for the New Kent Education Foundation and was blown away by the size of this project, what everybody's participation and what was going on there. And this is just impressive, and kudos to everybody who attended and put that thing together. It was pretty amazing to see. And then the thing that blew me away this evening was that was the loudest Pledge of Allegiance we've ever done at a school board meeting, and I think we need to keep that up. Otherwise, have a great night.
Ms. Cunha.
As the school board representative to the New Kent Education Foundation, I want to thank all the members and other volunteers that worked tirelessly to make the 18th annual Strike It Rich for Education Bowl-a-thon a huge success. Saturday was a day filled with joy, generosity, and New Kent team spirit as faculty, staff, and supporters came together to raise money that funds various activities and resources to boost education in New Kent. That New Kent team spirit was on full display later that same Saturday evening at the regional cheer competition hosted by New Kent High School. It was an awesome night packed with amazing energy, talent, and athleticism. I want to personally congratulate Coach Tamika Hathaway and our amazing New Kent High School cheerleaders for being one of the 10 teams to make it to regionals and for being one of the top 4 to make it to the second round of competition that evening. It was super exciting to be there. I was so proud to stand with the proud moms, dads, family members, and friends to cheer on our incredible New Kent High School cheerleaders.
Thank you, Ms. Cunha. And I would like to thank a group of veterans who are working hard to support our NJROTC unit here. In particular, Ken Gilman, Tom Miller, and J.B. Benson have been working behind the scenes to get some support for those kids, and those kids are doing a great job. Just this weekend, they worked and cleaned up a veterans facility, doing maintenance tasks, and by all accounts, they worked hard and presented themselves well. Anyhow, once again, thank you very much. And that's all, folks. With that, the meeting is adjourned, and have a happy Election Day.